Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself one honest question. If nothing changes in your life, will you be satisfied 1 year from now? Feel that silence. Feel that truth. Because deep inside, you already know that something must shift. Most people are not stuck because of lack of talent. They are stuck because of one missing habit, not a complex system, not a secret technique, just one simple discipline that they refuse to master. That habit is awareness, to sit with yourself, to observe your thoughts without running away, to see your patterns without judgment. This is where transformation begins. You see, the mind is like water. When it is disturbed, it cannot reflect clearly. When it becomes still, everything becomes visible. Your fears, your desires, your distractions, your true path. But most people avoid stillness. They fill their days with noise, endless scrolling, endless talking, endless running, because silence reveals what they are afraid to face. The moment you choose awareness, everything changes. You no longer react blindly. You respond with clarity. You no longer chase every impulse. You choose what truly matters. Discipline then becomes natural. Focus becomes sharp. Your energy stops leaking into things that do not serve you. Verkälfts är för professory. Awareness is where everything begins. Not action, not motivation, not even discipline. Because how can you change something you do not see? How can you improve a life you do not understand? Most people move through their days like they are asleep, with open eyes. They react, they rush, they chase, but they never truly observe. Pause for a moment and look at your own life. How many decisions today were conscious? How many words did you speak with full presence? How many thoughts did you question instead of blindly believing them? This is the gap. This is where awareness is missing. When you begin to cultivate awareness, something subtle but powerful happens. You create space between you and your thoughts. Before, every thought felt like truth. Now, it becomes just a thought. Before, every emotion controlled your behavior. Now you can witness it without immediately reacting. This is the first step toward freedom. Because without awareness, you are a prisoner of your patterns. You wake up with the same mindset. You repeat the same habits. You fall into the same distractions. And then you wonder why nothing changes. But once you become aware, you start to see these patterns clearly. You notice how your mind seeks comfort. You notice how you avoid discomfort. You notice how you escape into things that give temporary relief, but steal your long-term growth. And when you see clearly, you can no longer pretend. This is why awareness is uncomfortable. It removes your illusions. It shows you the truth you have been avoiding. But this discomfort is not your enemy. It is your doorway. Think of your mind like a room that has been dark for years. You have been walking around, bumping into things, making noise, feeling frustrated. Then one day, you turn on the light. Suddenly, everything is visible. The mess, the disorder, the unnecessary clutter. At first, it feels overwhelming. But now, for the first time, you have the power to clean it. Without awareness, there is no light. And this is why stillness becomes so important. When you sit in silence, when you slow down your breath, when you stop feeding your mind constant noise, you begin to notice things you have never noticed before. The restless nature of your thoughts, the constant need for distraction, the subtle fears that guide your decisions. Do not try to fight them. Do not try to control them. Just observe. Observation without judgment is pure awareness. And in that state, something deeper awakens within you, a sense of clarity, a sense of control. Not control over the world, but control over yourself. You begin to choose your responses instead of reacting impulsively. You begin to protect your energy instead of wasting it. You begin to align your actions with your true intentions instead of temporary emotions. And slowly, discipline starts to grow. Not forced, not artificial, but natural. Because now you are acting from understanding, not from pressure. Most people try to change their lives by forcing new habits while ignoring the root. They push themselves for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and then they fall back. Why? Because their awareness has not changed. Their identity has not shifted. They are still operating on the same unconscious patterns. Okay, but when awareness becomes your habit, everything else follows. You do not need to chase discipline. You become disciplined. You do not need to search for motivation. You act with clarity. So start here, not with big goals, not with complicated plans, just with awareness. When you wake up, notice your first thought. When you speak, notice your intention. When you feel distracted, notice the urge instead of immediately following it. These small moments of awareness are seeds, and with consistency, they grow into transformation. At first, it will feel slow. It will feel like nothing is changing. But trust this process, because real change does not come from sudden bursts of effort. It comes from deep understanding built over time. And once you truly see yourself, once you truly understand your mind, there is no going back. Because awareness does not just change what you do, it changes who you are. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of clarity. It is the moment where everything that is usually hidden begins to reveal itself. Most people fear stillness because in stillness, there is nowhere to hide, no distractions to escape into, no noise to cover the truth. Look at the way people live. The moment silence appears, they reach for something. Their phone, their thoughts, their worries, their plans, anything to avoid being alone with themselves. Because deep inside, they know that stillness will show them what they have been running from. Okay? But what you avoid is what controls you. Okay? When you begin to embrace stillness, even for a few moments each day, you start to see clearly. Your mind, which once felt like a storm, slowly begins to settle. Thoughts still come, but they no longer overwhelm you. Emotions still rise, but they no longer define you. Okay? This is where clarity is born. Clarity is not something you find outside. It does not come from endless advice, endless videos, or endless opinions. It comes from within, when the noise fades and your awareness sharpens. In stillness, you begin to understand what truly matters and what does not. You start to see how much of your life has been driven by impulse, by habit, by external influence. And for the first time, you can question it. Is this what I truly want? Is this action aligned with who I am becoming? Is this thought serving me or limiting me? These questions do not arise in chaos. They arise in stillness. Think of a lake. When the water is constantly disturbed, you cannot see what lies beneath. But when the surface becomes calm, everything becomes visible. The same is true for your mind. When you are constantly moving, constantly consuming, constantly reacting, your vision is blurred. But when you become still, your perception becomes clear, and with clarity comes power. Because now you are no longer guessing. You are no longer following blindly. You are choosing with intention. Your actions become precise. Your focus becomes strong. Your energy is no longer scattered in 100 directions. Okay. Stillness also teaches you patience. In a world that demands instant results, stillness reminds you that real growth takes time. It shows you that not every problem needs an immediate reaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause. In that pause, you create space. Space to think. Space to understand. Space to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. This is how you protect your energy. Because every reaction, every unnecessary thought, every distraction, it drains you. But when you practice stillness, you begin to conserve that energy. You become more intentional with where you place your attention. You stop giving importance to things that do not deserve it. And slowly, your inner world becomes stronger. Do not expect stillness to feel easy in the beginning. It will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. It will try to pull you back into noise, into distraction, into movement. This is natural because you are breaking a pattern that has been repeated for years. But stay with it. Sit for a few minutes. Close your eyes. Breathe. Do nothing else. Let your thoughts come and go. Do not chase them. Do not fight them. Just observe. At first, it may feel like chaos, but with consistency, that chaos begins to settle. And in that settling, you will experience something rare, A moment of pure clarity. In that moment, you are not your past. You are not your fears. You are not your distractions. You are simply aware, present, grounded. This is where transformation deepens. Because once you taste this clarity, you will no longer crave constant noise. You will no longer feel the need to escape yourself. You will begin to value silence. You will begin to seek it. And through this practice, everything else begins to align. Your decisions become sharper. Your discipline becomes stronger. Your path becomes clearer. And not because the world has changed, but because your mind is no longer clouded. Stillness is not something you do once. It is something you return to again and again. A daily practice, a quiet commitment to yourself, and over time, it becomes a part of who you are. Clarity is not found in doing more. It is found in becoming still enough to see. To observe without judgment is one of the most powerful disciplines you can develop, yet it is also one of the most difficult. Because the moment you look at yourself, the mind immediately begins to label. This is good, this is bad, I am right, I am wrong, I should be better, I am not enough. And in that moment, observation is lost. True observation is simple, but not easy. It is the ability to see what is happening within you without adding a story to it. A thought arises. You notice it. An emotion appears. You feel it. No resistance, no attachment, just awareness. But most people do the opposite. They judge every thought, every feeling, every action. If they feel fear, they call it weakness. If they feel anger, they call it wrong. If they fail, they call themselves a failure. And this constant judgment creates inner conflict. You are not fighting your circumstances. You are fighting yourself. When you judge, you divide your mind. One part becomes the observer and the other becomes the enemy. And in this division, there is no peace. There is no clarity. There is only noise. But when you remove judgment, something shifts. You begin to understand instead of criticize. You begin to learn instead of punish. Think about it. If you are constantly judging yourself, how can you see clearly? If every thought is labeled as good or bad, how can you understand where it comes from? Judgment closes the door to awareness. Observation without judgment opens it. For example, imagine you feel distracted. The usual response is to say, I am lazy. I have no discipline. I need to do better. But this does not solve the problem. It only creates pressure, and pressure often leads to more avoidance. Now change the approach. You notice the distraction. You ask, what is causing this? Is it fatigue? Is it fear? Is it lack of clarity? And as you observe without judgment, you begin to see the root. This is where real change happens, because you are no longer reacting to the surface. You are understanding the cause. The same applies to your emotions. When sadness appears, do not push it away. When anger arises, do not suppress it. Just observe. Feel it fully, but do not let it control you. This does not mean you become passive. It means you become aware. Awareness gives you the ability to respond wisely. Because when you are not lost in judgment, you are present. And when you are present, you have a choice. A choice to act differently, a choice to break old patterns, a choice to move with intention. Judgment, on the other hand, keeps you stuck. It repeats the same cycle. You react, you judge, you feel worse, and then you repeat. This is why many people feel trapped in their own minds. They are not lacking effort. They are lacking understanding. And understanding only comes through observation. Imagine watching the sky. Clouds come and go. Some are light, some are dark. But the sky does not judge the clouds. It does not try to hold them or push them away. It simply allows them to pass. Your mind is the same. Thoughts are like clouds. Emotions are like clouds. They come and they go. But you are the sky. You are the awareness behind it all. The moment you realize this, you stop identifying with every thought. You stop reacting to every feeling. You begin to see things as they are, not as your mind interprets them. This creates a deep sense of calm, not because problems disappear, but because you are no longer controlled by them. And from this calmness, discipline naturally grows. Because now your actions are not driven by impulse or emotion. They are guided by clarity. You protect your energy. You choose your focus. You stay consistent, not through force, but through understanding. This is the power of observing without judgment. It allows you to see yourself honestly without being harsh. It allows you to grow without resistance. It allows you to change without losing yourself in negativity. But like every discipline, it requires practice. You will catch yourself judging. That is natural. When it happens, do not judge the judgment. Simply notice it and return to observation again and again. Over time, this practice becomes easier. Your mind becomes quieter. Your awareness becomes stronger, and your inner world becomes more balanced. And in that balance, you find a different kind of strength, a strength that is calm, steady, and unshakable. Because you are no longer fighting yourself, you are understanding yourself. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think it is about forcing yourself, pushing harder, staying strict, denying comfort. They believe discipline is something external, something heavy, something painful that must be applied again and again. But true discipline does not begin with force. It begins with awareness. Without awareness, discipline becomes a struggle. You try to follow routines, you set goals, you create plans, but something always pulls you back. You feel resistance. You feel tired, you lose consistency, and then you blame yourself for not being strong enough. But the problem is not your strength. The problem is that you are trying to control actions without understanding the mind behind them. When awareness grows, discipline starts to change its nature. It becomes lighter, more natural, less forced. Because now you begin to see clearly what helps you and what harms you. You notice how certain habits drain your energy. You notice how distractions steal your focus. You notice how inconsistency creates frustration. And this understanding creates a shift. You no longer need someone to tell you what to do. You see it for yourself. And when you truly see something, you cannot unsee it. This is where discipline begins to grow from within. It is no longer about pushing yourself to wake up early. You understand why waking up early brings clarity to your mind. It is no longer about forcing yourself to avoid distractions. You see how those distractions weaken your focus. It is no longer about following rules. It is about aligning your actions with your understanding. This is a different kind of discipline. It is quiet. It is steady. It does not rely on motivation, because motivation comes and goes, but understanding stays. Think about a time when you touched something hot. You did not need discipline to avoid touching it again. You had awareness. You understood the consequence, and that understanding guided your behavior naturally. The same principle applies to your life. When you are aware of your patterns, when you clearly see the impact of your actions, it becomes a natural response. You do not need to fight yourself. You simply act in alignment with what you know is right. This is why forcing discipline without awareness often fails. It creates inner resistance. One part of you wants to move forward while another part pulls you back. And this conflict drains your energy. But when awareness is present, that conflict begins to disappear. You become more focused, more intentional, more consistent. Consistency is not built through pressure. It is built through clarity. When you are clear about your direction, when you understand your purpose, when you see the value of your actions, you do not need constant reminder. You move naturally, even when it is difficult, even when you do not feel like it, because your actions are no longer controlled by your emotions. They are guided by your awareness. This is real strength. Discipline then becomes a form of self-respect. You show up not because you have to, but because you choose to. You follow through, not because someone is watching, but because you understand the importance of your actions. And this creates momentum. Small actions, repeated daily, begin to shape your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who is focused, someone who is consistent, someone who follows through. This identity strengthens your discipline even more, But remember, it all comes back to awareness. If you lose awareness, discipline starts to weaken, old patterns return, distractions take over, and you find yourself drifting again. That is why awareness must remain constant. It is the foundation that supports everything else. Each day, take a moment to observe your actions. Ask yourself, is this aligned with who I want to become? Is this serving my growth or holding me back? Do not judge, just observe. And from that observation, let your actions adjust naturally. This is how discipline becomes effortless. Not because it is easy, but because it is understood. Over time, you will notice a shift. What once felt difficult becomes normal. What once required effort becomes routine. And what once felt impossible becomes part of who you are. This is the quiet power of discipline that grows from awareness. It does not demand attention. It does not seek recognition, but it transforms your life from within. And once it becomes a part of you, there is no need to force it anymore. Energy is your most valuable resource, yet most people treat it as if it is unlimited. They give it away to distractions, to unnecessary conversations, to thoughts that lead nowhere, and then they wonder why they feel drained, unfocused, and lost. But once awareness and stillness begin to grow within you, you start to see something clearly. Not everything deserves your energy. This realization changes everything. Before, you reacted to everything. Every message, every notification, every opinion, every impulse. Your attention was scattered, pulled in different directions, leaving you with very little strength for what truly matters. But now you begin to observe. You notice how certain activities leave you feeling empty. You notice how some people drain your focus. You notice how your own thoughts can exhaust you more than any external task. And this awareness creates a shift. You begin to protect your energy, not out of fear, but out of understanding. Because you realize that where your energy goes, your life follows. If your energy is spent on distractions, your life becomes distracted. If your energy is spent on growth, your life begins to grow. It is simple, but not easy. Protecting your energy does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It means becoming intentional with what you allow into your mind and your time. It means learning to say no, even when it feels uncomfortable. It means stepping away from things that do not align with your purpose. It means choosing silence over unnecessary noise. Yeah, this is a form of discipline, but it is rooted in awareness. Without awareness, you will not even realize where your energy is being lost. It will slip away quietly, moment by moment, until you feel exhausted without understanding why. But when you are aware, you can see the leaks. You can see how endless scrolling takes your focus. You can see how negative thinking drains your motivation. You can see how trying to please everyone leaves you with nothing for yourself. And once you see this clearly, you naturally begin to pull back. Not aggressively, not suddenly, but steadily. You start to create boundaries, small at first, but powerful. You give yourself time to be still. You reduce the noise around you. You become more selective with your attention. And as you do this, something important happens. Your energy begins to return. You feel more focused, more present, more in control. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Decisions that once felt confusing become clear. You can't. Because your energy is no longer divided. Think of your energy like a flame. If it is exposed to strong winds from all directions, it becomes weak and unstable. But if you protect it, if you give it space, it burns stronger and brighter. This is what happens when you protect your energy. You become stronger, not because you are doing more, but because you are wasting less. Next, this also changes the way you approach your goals. Instead of forcing yourself to work harder, you begin to work smarter. You focus on what truly matters. You eliminate what does not. You align your actions with your priorities, and this alignment creates consistency. Consistency is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things with full presence. But protecting your energy is not only about external distractions. It is also about your internal world. Your thoughts matter. Okay. If your mind is constantly filled with doubt, fear, and negativity, your energy will be drained even if you are doing nothing physically. This is why awareness remains important. You observe your thoughts. You notice patterns. You do not suppress them, but you do not feed them unnecessarily. You choose where your attention goes. This is power, because when you control your attention, you control your energy. And when you control your energy, you control your life. Over time, this practice becomes natural. You no longer feel the need to engage with everything. You no longer seek validation from every direction. You become grounded within yourself, calm, focused, intentional, and from this state, your actions carry more weight. Your efforts become more effective. Your progress becomes more consistent, right? Not because you are doing more, but because you are fully present in what you do. Protecting your energy is not about limitation. It is about direction. It is about choosing where to invest yourself so that your life moves forward with purpose. And once you understand this, you will no longer give your energy away so easily. Right? Consistency is often seen as repetition, but in truth, it is alignment repeated over time. It is not about doing something perfectly every day. It is about showing up again and again with awareness, with clarity, with intention. Most people underestimate the power of small actions. They look for big changes, sudden breakthroughs, dramatic results. But life does not transform in one moment. It transforms in patterns, in what you do daily, even when no one is watching, even when you do not feel like it. Without awareness, consistency feels like a burden. You start something, you feel motivated, you push yourself, and then slowly the energy fades. You skip one day, then another, and before you know it, the habit disappears. And you are left wondering why you cannot stay consistent. But consistency is not lost because you are weak. It is lost because you are disconnected. When awareness is present, consistency takes on a different meaning. You are no longer chasing results. You are focused on the process. You understand why you are doing what you are doing. You see the value, even when the results are not immediate. This understanding creates stability. You no longer depend on motivation. You no longer wait for the perfect mood. You simply show up, even on days when your mind resists, even on days when progress feels invisible. Because you know that transformation is not built in intensity. It is built in repetition. Think about water flowing over a rock. One drop does nothing. But over time, consistent drops shape the surface. Slowly, quietly, without force, this is how your habits shape your life. Every small action you repeat becomes a part of you. Every choice you make, again and again, builds your identity. You are not defined by what you do once. You are defined consistently. You are defined by what you do consistently. This is why awareness remains important. If you are not aware, your consistency can lead you in the wrong direction. You can repeat distractions. You can repeat negative patterns. You can strengthen habits that do not serve you. But when awareness guides your consistency, every step moves you forward. You begin to choose your actions more carefully. You begin to align them with your goals. You begin to remove what does not belong. And as you repeat these aligned actions, something deeper happens. You begin to trust yourself. Trust is built through consistency. When you show up for yourself daily, when you follow through on your intentions, you create a sense of reliability within. You know that you can depend on yourself. This changes the way you see challenges. You no longer feel overwhelmed by big goals because you are focused on the next step, the next action, the next moment, and this keeps you grounded. Consistency also teaches patience. In a world that pushes for instant results, consistency reminds you that real growth is slow. It requires time. It requires effort. It requires commitment. There will be days when you feel progress. There will be days when you feel nothing. But both are part of the process. Kijk, duurt nu vooral. Do not let temporary feelings break long-term patterns. Stay with it even when it feels repetitive, even when it feels boring, even when it feels like nothing is changing, because beneath the surface, everything is changing. Your mind is becoming stronger. Your habits are becoming deeper. Your identity is shifting. And one day, the results will appear, not suddenly, but as a natural outcome of everything you have built. Consistency is not about perfection. You will make mistakes. You will have setbacks. You will lose focus at times. But what matters is that you return again and again. Return to awareness. Return to your practice. Return to your intention. This return is what defines true consistency. It is not about never falling. It is about never staying down. And over time, this creates a powerful rhythm in your life. A rhythm of growth, a rhythm of discipline, a rhythm of clarity. Everything begins to flow together. Your awareness guides your actions. Your actions build your consistency. Your consistency shapes your transformation. And this transformation is not loud. It is not visible to everyone, but it is real. You feel it in the way you think, in the way you act, in the way you carry yourself, because you have built it step by step. And once this rhythm becomes part of you, there is no need to rush anymore. Mastering yourself is the highest form of power, not controlling others, not dominating situations, but understanding and guiding your own mind, your own actions, your own energy. Most people spend their lives trying to change the outside world. They want better circumstances, better opportunities, better people around them. And while there is nothing wrong with growth, they ignore the one place where real control exists. Within. Without awareness, stillness, and observation, the self remains a mystery. And when you do not understand yourself, you are easily controlled by everything outside of you. A small problem disturbs you. A small opinion affects you. A small failure stops you. But when you begin to master yourself, these things lose their power. Self-mastery does not mean you eliminate emotions. It means you understand them. You feel them, but you are not controlled by them. You experience fear, but you do not let it decide your actions. You experience doubt, but you do not let it define your direction. This is strength. And this strength is built step by step through everything that has come before. Awareness shows you your patterns. Stillness gives you clarity. Observation without judgment helps you understand. Discipline grows naturally. You protect your energy. You stay consistent. And through all of this, you begin to take control of your inner world. Control does not mean suppression. It means alignment. Your thoughts, your actions, your intentions begin to move in the same direction. There is no longer a constant conflict inside you, no longer a battle between what you want and what you do. You become whole. This is what most people are searching for, even if they do not realize it. Not success, not recognition, but a sense of inner stability, a sense of control over their own life. Because without self-mastery, success feels empty. You achieve something, but you cannot sustain it. You reach a goal, but you feel restless again. You gain something, but you are afraid of losing it. Why? Because your inner world is not stable, but when you master yourself, everything changes. You no longer depend on external validation. You no longer chase things to fill a void. You act with purpose, not desperation. You move with calm, not pressure. This does not mean life becomes easy. Challenges will still come. Obstacles will still appear, but your response becomes different. Instead of reacting with fear, you respond with clarity. Instead of avoiding difficulty, you face it with strength. Instead of losing control, you remain grounded because you know yourself. And this knowledge cannot be taken away from you. Think about it. If you can control your focus, you can direct your energy. If you can direct your energy, you can shape your actions. And if you can shape your actions, you can shape your life. Everything begins within, but self-mastery requires honesty. You must be willing to see yourself as you are, not as you wish to be. You must be willing to face your weaknesses without running away. You must be willing to grow without excuses. HENG. This is not easy, but nothing meaningful ever is. Each day becomes a practice. a chance to observe, to adjust, to improve. You do not seek perfection, you seek progress. You do not rush the process, you trust it, and over time you notice a change. You are calmer in situations that once disturbed you. You are more focused in moments that once distracted you. You are more disciplined in areas where you once struggled. This is self-mastery in action. It is not loud. It is not dramatic, but it is powerful because it gives you control over the only thing that truly matters, yourself. And when you master yourself, you naturally influence everything around you. Your presence becomes stronger. Your actions become more effective. Your life begins to reflect the clarity you have built within. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. This is the final step, yet it is also the beginning. Because self-mastery is not a destination. It is a continuous journey, a journey of awareness, a journey of discipline, a journey of growth. And as you walk this path, you realize something simple but profound. Kelly, the life you were searching for was never outside. It was always within your control. And now you see it was never about many habits. It was never about chasing everything at once. It was always about one simple path: awareness, stillness, observation, discipline, protecting your energy, consistency, and finally mastering yourself. Right? This is not a quick fix. This is a way of living. You will not become perfect overnight. You will not feel strong every single day. But if you stay on this path, if you return to it again and again, something within you will begin to change. Quietly, deeply, permanently. Trust this process, even when it feels slow, even when no one notices, even when you doubt yourself. Because real transformation does not need validation. It builds in silence and reveals itself in time. So as you move forward from this moment, do not rush. Do not overwhelm yourself. Just take one step with awareness, then another, and another. And one day, without even realizing it, you will become the person you once wished to be. I wish you strength in your journey, clarity in your mind, and peace within yourself. Good luck. And thank you